Welcome, dear listener, and thank you for joining me for this special Halloween edition of Dead Hand Radio. I'm your host, Andrew Hall. What we're about to embark on throughout these coming days leading up to Halloween is a series of interviews with people from all walks of life who've experienced some of the most harrowing, spine-chilling tales you've ever heard. We're talking ghost stories, haunted buildings, cursed lands, myths, legends, and lore, the likes of which many have never heard before. Some of my guests are new, most are returning visitors of the show, and have agreed to share with us, in some cases for the first time ever, their personal experiences of unexplained and hair-raising stories from beyond the veil. Consider this your final warning. Those who choose to proceed may have their sanity challenged, question reality, or lose their mind with fear from these tales of the unknown and unexplained. And now, the Dead Hand Radio Halloween Special.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandie Lanae, and I am a psychic medium, and you are listening to Dead Hand Radio.
That's great. So, welcome to Dead Hand Radio.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Well, thank you for joining me. Appreciate you being here.
It's an honor.
How are things going for you? Has your week been going pretty good?
Yes, actually, I have been doing, I shouldn't say doing, but creating quite a few videos for people. They are needing memorials and radio shows and TV shows. And so I've been quite busy creating those for other people.
Oh, that's excellent. So what I gauged from your background, I did a little bit of research on you and looked at your website and looked at your Facebook and stuff. And we have only just met, though I've known your sister and her husband, Kathy and Roy, for over 20 years.
Is that right? Isn't that fun?
Yeah. And no, they're awesome people. As a matter of fact, they're two of my favorite people in the world. That's no joke. So aside from being related to two of my favorite people, you have some interesting abilities, and that's what
yes,
we're
I do.
talk about
I
today.
do. I like my abilities. They're a lot of fun.
They're fascinating. They're certainly rare, but you're a psychic medium, a remote viewer, ghost hunter, author, and TV and radio show host.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Well, no, I think you're pretty well covered.
And we're going to talk about each one of those abilities individually and get into a little bit more depth. But before we do that, do you mind going back into history a little bit and talking about your personal history a little bit?
Oh, no, it's kind of boring, but
oh, no,
I'll
not
try and make it interesting.
No, not to me. You when did you first start to realize that you had an ability like this?
Oh, goodness. Let's see. I can remember when I was about 3 years old, my mother put me in bed to have a nap. And I can remember laying there. I was probably playing with my toys. I didn't want to go to sleep. But I can remember looking out of the bedroom window. And all of a sudden, the bedroom window kind of started to like fade in and out. It's difficult for me to describe. But then I got real homesick. And I didn't quite know what that feeling was. But I got very, very homesick because I just knew I wasn't in my own home, which was very confusing for me in my 3-year-old brain. But outside of the window, I could see, like, if you can put in your mind, like marketplaces over in Egypt or in that area, where they would have like adobe type of buildings. They would have awnings over booths that were striped. And I can remember I was so confused because it was like, where the heck am I? But I wanted to be back in that other city. And then I think the window stopped shaking or moving or whatever it was doing. And then I was kind of like back in my own body, laying on my bed playing with toys. And so I think that's the first, probably that was my first, I don't know, situation, circumstance with a past life.
But what's I don't know, the whole story is incredible, but to me the most, I guess, incredible part of that story is that you were only 3 years old and you remember that.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's funny, because I'm older than dirt right now, but I remember that like it happened yesterday. It was so vivid and so true. Interesting word I'm using there. It was so true that I can remember how I felt. I can remember thinking, why is that window acting strange? And then seeing the marketplace outside of the window, and then feeling like poof, all of a sudden I'm a 3-year-old laying on my bed playing with toys again. It just like it happened 5 minutes ago, really.
So have you ever asked the question, why do you have this ability? Why not everybody, but why you specifically?
I've never really asked that question until now. This is how weird I am. Okay, I was like in 7th grade and I was in art class. And all throughout my life, I thought everybody had the ability to know things. That's how naive I was about everything. So I'm sitting in art class, just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden, there was a situation that came up, nothing horrible. And I told the teacher in front of the class, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, everybody looked at me like I really needed a straitjacket. And it was right then and there that I knew no, but well, not a lot of people didn't have the ability to see the future.
You were
And then,
different.
yeah, and then I just kept it to myself. I didn't really speak about anything anymore.
Was your family aware of these experiences that you were having?
I believe that they were, um, gosh, they, but I don't think they really understood it, because they didn't encourage me, but they didn't say, it's all in your head. It's all you're imagining things. They never once said those things to me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But I don't think that they knew how to guide me or direct me or help me. They might not have known what was going on. They just probably thought, well, our daughter's weird.
Well, at one point, that kind of ability was really, um, there was not a lot understood about it. There's been some pretty good studies, and it's a lot more well known in today's culture. So I think it's a lot more easily accepted. But people are still considered outliers and um, just different. They're just looked at as different. And there's a lot of charlatans out there that claim to have the abilities and take advantage of other people.
Right. And that really hurts us.
Sure.
I have, quite a few friends that are very psychic, very intuitive. And we all say the same thing. It's just the charlatans hurt us, because then people look at us, just like we're charlatans. And it's like, no, we're only put on this earth to help people,
Hmm.
in the best way that we can with the abilities that we have. So it's been a tough journey. But one of the things that I do, I guess I'm kind of mean, is a lot of my friends, they'll say they're intuitives or mediums, things like that, all of the different types of terms. Well, I call myself a psychic. And I know that that word is kind of shocking when people first see me or meet me, or if I'm going to be talking about that. But I've come to the conclusion that I like to shock people with that word because I'm going to get two reactions. One, I'm going to have people say, "Oh my God, that is so cool." And then we end up talking about what's going on. Or I have people put their fingers up in a cross and, hiss at me and run away. And that's fine too, because then I don't have to waste my time. Now, I know that's kind of crass to say that, but it's like I don't have time to try and help people that aren't going to believe me. So it's best to say I'm a psychic, shock you. If you don't like that, then they go away, and then I can turn around to the next person and they're all excited about talking to me and needing help. So
it sounds like you have a built-in vetting program.
I guess that is how you could call it.
Yeah.
I like that. Never thought of it that way.
There are a lot of people that think that it's something that it's not, or they just completely don't understand what it is, and it scares them. There's a lot of reasons why people shun these kind of abilities, but
You
for me
picked up on
personally,
that pretty well when you say fear. Excuse me. A lot of people are fearful because the first thing that they think of is, oh, she's going to tell me when I'm going to die. And it's like, no, I'm not. I, your life is your life. I'm not going to tell you things like that. Even if I knew, I still wouldn't tell you things like
oh,
that.
that's good.
So that's a big fear factor, and it's and also too, come to think of it, they've probably had some particular a scenario or a circumstance or situation that happened with a psychic that did scare them, and so they don't want to have anything to do with it. So when they come up on another psychic, of course they're just fearful and angry and fearful, and so they just go away as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are also afraid of what other people will think if
Mm,
they associate with somebody who has psychic abilities.
very true. Very,
So
very true.
there's a countless reasons why people would shun somebody with abilities like
Hmm.
that.
There is. There really is.
And I really don't want to focus on those people because
Right.
they they aren't really important to this discussion.
Okay.
So, but what is important is when I asked you if you've ever thought about or asked the question, why me? Why do I have
Hmm.
this ability and not everybody else?
Hmm.
You told me when you first realized you were different, but did you ever ask or ever seek an answer to why do you have this ability and not everybody else? Why is it such a rare and unique ability?
I talk to my spirit guides all the time. And many, many, many years ago, I believe I probably did ask them, why me? And I think the answer that they gave me is just because you're special and you can talk with people and you can help people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. I've always tried to help people. I've always enjoyed sharing information. And if that information is insight to someone's future, well, then I'm happy because I'm sharing that information with that particular person for their particular situations.
Interesting. Are you? I'm sure you have like a code of ethics, even if it's your own code of ethics, where you are, you do not read a person unless they give you permission. Is that true?
Yes, that's very true because it, well, just out in the ethers, if you don't have permission, like you say, to read someone, then the universe is going to say, oh, that's a big no, and then I pay the price.
Oh,
Yeah, and that price it's not fatal or anything, but believe me, I sure know when that karma's hitting me.
so you have several abilities. I mean, uh, psychic abilities as far as um, reading or experiencing past lives, reading future events. Is that something that you're able to do?
Hmm. Yes. Usually I can do both with, I offer intuitive readings and I use minerals. I have 117 different stones. And like a client will come to the house, that's where I give my readings, and they choose, particular stones and they lay them down in a pattern. And then I use the stones to guide me. They're all programmed with their own meaning. I use the stones to guide me, and I listen to their spirit guides or their ancestors or anybody that else wants to come along and help me give them a reading to give a future insight of what's going on, or actually to help their present situations. Now, I don't offer, this is what you need to do. Okay, I only offer choices. And it's amazing how someone will come to the house and they're just, they walk in and they're just like, they're afraid, they're nervous, they're sad, they're, whatever their emotions are. And then after the reading, I love it because they're standing up straight. They want a hug. They're smiling. And when they leave, they're walking straighter. It's such an awesome thing to see, physically see when I know that I have helped a client. They,
Hmm.
they just feel better about themselves and about the future. So that's what I offer is intuitive reading using the minerals. And then at times, people will say, well, can you tell me, one of my past lives? And it's like, well, let me tune in. And a lot of times it's not my forte, but a lot of times I can tune in and, they were born 500 years ago in Spain and they did this and lived that way. And it's really kind of fascinating because they'll say, I've always had a fascination with Spain and I want to visit there. And when I see pictures on TV or in a book or whatever, I just feel like it's my home.
Wow.
And so that's really cool.
That is very cool. Yeah. Because you get to experience that past life as well, right? By reading
I
that.
do. hmm
That's interesting.
I can go back and more or less, I'm physically there. I can see the landscape or the clothing or their home. I can smell the if someone's cooking, if there's animals around. I can feel the air temperature if it's hot or cold. Things like that. It's like I'm physically there, and I can use all physical of my characteristics to see what's going on in their past life. Mhm.
That's so incredible. So it's
Yeah.
like you're kind of like a time traveler.
Oh, I like that. Well, now that's what I do with my remote viewing is that I use that ability to help with a past life experience or a situation or location where my client has been at one time.
Okay. So one last question about the psychic ability, the psychic.
hmm
Um, when when you first realized that you could experience past lives, you were 3. You didn't understand what that was, and that's totally understandable because it was just something weird that happened. But you can also communicate with spirits. And how old were you when you realized that you could not only communicate but see dead past spirits?
I don't even remember. I have been doing this for so long. And there again, I thought everybody could do it. So I can't even give you a specific date on that. I just don't remember. It's just been with me all of my life.
Do you have a specific like recount of a certain moment that you can recall and share with me right now?
Well, one time like I said, throughout my life, I've kind of talked, about this and that and something else, but I can remember, gosh, I think I was sixth, seventh grade. I can't even remember now, but up the street, I knew that there was going to be an accident. There was a road that stopped at another road. It wasn't like a crossroads, it was like a T. And my girlfriend was visiting that day, and I said, we have got to go up to the intersection there and stop this accident. And she said, how in the world can we stop it? And I said, just come with me. And it was quite urgent. It wasn't that far away. So we ran up to the corners. And then all of a sudden, way up the road, I saw a car coming, and I said to my friend, her name was Kathy, I said, that's the car that I think could be hit. She goes, there's nobody else around. I said, oh, just hang in there. Just start saying there won't be an accident. There won't be an accident. So we started chanting that. All of a sudden, down the other road that ran into the other crossroad, here comes a car, and we could just see it wasn't going to stop at the stop sign. And I told Kathy, I said, start chanting harder, deeper, stronger, which we both did. And we did stop that accident. The person that was driving too fast coming up to the intersection almost hit the car that we saw way up the road that was coming towards us. And that car had to literally drive off into the ditch so the other car wouldn't hit it. Now, as the other car's zooming around the corner, of course, the other man that was in the car that ended up in the ditch is, swearing and finger gesturing and all kinds of stuff. My friend looked at me and said, how in the world did you know that? And I said, I just knew there was an accident. We need to stop it. We did. Let's go home.
That's an incredible story. And I don't doubt you for 1 second that it happened exactly the way you told it. It just, you know,
Things like that happen around me all the time.
but and now, do you have an understanding of how you get that information?
No, I
Wow.
still don't. After all of these years, I cannot even begin to tell you where it comes from. I could say, from all the powers that be, spirit guides, people's thoughts. I could just say yes to all of those because I have no answer for that. It's just I know it, and so I try and take care of it.
Yeah, why overthink it? You know that it's real. Just do what you're guided to do and make a difference. That's freaking awesome. I think it's I think it's amazing, actually.
Oh, sure. Well, like one time, my daughter, when she was, what was she, 6, I think, 7, we were in Walmart shopping, and all of a sudden I just turned to her and I said, if your stomach hurts right here, let me know, because that's not a stomach ache. Okay, 2 weeks later, she came to me in the middle of the night saying, oh, Mom, I hurt so bad. Took her to the hospital, and her appendix had burst.
Wow.
It's like, oh my gosh, let's get you to the hospital. So when we were at Walmart, I just was shopping. I can remember I just stood there. I was like frozen. And I turned to her and I said, let me know when your stomach hurts. And so I don't know where that came from, but I'm glad it did. So I just didn't, say, oh, you just ate too much candy and disregarded kind of thing.
I just had a thought, and I realized that some people listening to this might think that it's they might not believe that it's something special. They may be more skeptical and think
Mm-hmm.
that it's
Sure.
it's simply an enhanced intuition,
Mm-hmm. Right.
which could possibly be true, but you have other abilities besides this.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so it lends itself to something a little bit more unexplainable,
Yeah.
in my opinion. That's
Mm-hmm.
just my opinion.
Sure. That's a good opinion.
And so your what is remote viewing for people who don't understand what that is?
Okay. This is just my opinion, okay? Because I teach this class, so I have to make sure that my students know this too. Remote viewing is where I can go anywhere on the face of the earth, sitting right in the comfort of my own home, using my psychic abilities, and also using remote viewing skills and abilities, which are that you can go to any place on earth and see that using all of your senses, your sight, your hearing, your smell, your touch, everything.
Interesting. And there's no limitation to the location or the time.
No, there really isn't. Now, what I teach in my class is this remote viewing skill, anybody can learn it. The military has used it for I don't even know how long in their teachings. So people can, again, learn how to remote view, and they too can go out to any location on the face of the earth and see what's going on. This I try to teach the class psychically remote viewing, but on a scientific, I don't know, scientific situation, anyone can learn this. You just have to train your brain.
Now, I've heard, I'm familiar with the military program that you're talking about. It was called
Mm-hmm.
the Stargate program. I think it started in the 70s,
Okay.
and they continued it for, I think, for almost 10 years. And they
Okay.
had some pretty successful results from it. And it was
Mm-hmm.
started by a guy named Ingo Swann. He's the one who coined the term remote viewing.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And what what you were talking about is that anybody can do it. And he said it's like having a musical ability. Anybody can play an instrument, but some people can play at the level of a concert pianist,
Mm-hmm.
or the you can get to a certain level by practicing,
Right.
but you're only able to get to a certain level unless you have an additional gift to reach another level. Is that
Sure.
true?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So but it is a skill that you can learn and you can practice and get better at.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you practice it and the more that you experience it, it seems like the more interesting the experiences get.
Oh, I have to agree with that because I've used it for so long now that let's see, I have a friend that is a filmographer and she makes documentaries and she lives in Rome, Italy. And so what she does is she'll send me a coordinate because a lot of the ruins over there, they don't have an address. Okay. So she'll send me the coordinates and she'll say, well, go there and give me your findings. So I go there, let's say for an example, it's a castle and I see this and I hear that and I know that. And then I send her, I type up all of my findings and I send all that to her. And then what she does is she researches that particular castle, and then everything that I have given her, all my information and things that I discovered, she says, well, this happened and this is here and that's what that looks like and blah, blah, blah. So then she makes documentaries out of her history and my remote viewing abilities, things that I've seen.
Fascinating. So if anybody wanted to find out more about
Mm-hmm.
that particular exchange and to see some of those documentaries that you've been involved in making,
Mm-hmm.
can you direct them to a website or?
Yes, it's called a road
Okay.
retraveled. Yeah, and you can find those on YouTube, I guess. I
Okay.
think she has them about everywhere, really, but YouTube.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I think I'll check
Mhm.
that out. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my research and writing up my notes for this conversation, I had the exact same idea to do that, um, with some locations that I know quite well, and I
Oh yeah.
just to see what kind of information you could glean from
Uh
these
huh.
locations, and that's an interesting collaboration that you have
Hmm.
going on.
I really do like that, and let's see. I also work with three different paranormal investigative teams. One in Toronto, Canada, then one in Oklahoma, then one in Southern California as well. And they asked me to, they just give me an address of the home or the building, and it's like, boom, I'm there. And then, like I do with my friend in Italy there for the documentaries, I just go around and I look for spirits and what's going on and send them my findings, and then they confirm everything. And if they don't know something, they'll ask, like let's say if it's a business, they'll ask the owner of the building and the owner will say, oh yeah, that's this, that, something else. But what I can do too with remote viewing, and I loved it. This was cool. My friend in Italy, her name is Simone. She said, "Can you go back in time?" And I said, "I believe so." And so she gave me an Etruscan location. And I went back like 8,000 years ago, and I saw the Etruscans on the shore unloading parcels and packages and whatever, crates and boxes from their ship. And that was like totally cool. I didn't know if I could ever go back that far, but 8,000 years, yep, I did. And that was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the Etruscans? I don't know what that is.
Well, it was like the first civilizations there over in, well, the location of Italy.
Okay.
The Etruscan civilization.
Wow.
hmm They were there like with the Greeks and the Romans and, all kinds of people way back when. Yeah. But yeah, that was interesting. But anytime I go back anywhere, it's incredible to me because I still don't know how I can do it. I don't know how I can go back so far. I don't know how I can meet people and see their situations. And it's very interesting too when a client comes to the house and I have an ability where I can see dead people like we've been talking about, and they'll say, well, how's grandma? And it's like, well, then all of a sudden grandma is taking me on a journey when she was a young child. And it's like, well, this is awesome. I get to see history, well, 99% firsthand. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That is
I've
awesome.
learned
Yeah.
so much from the spirits.
It sounds like an incredible journey from the time you started experiencing these abilities. So, okay, have you ever tried remote viewing the moon or other planets or other galaxies or anything like that?
No, because I don't think I could do that. That's so far away, but I can never say never.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't.
Oh, well, it has been done.
Has it? Okay.
Yeah, it has been done by several people, actually.
Oh, cool.
There's a remote viewing company that I have heard of.
Well, I'd have to give that a try then. I've never tried it.
So do you need to have the coordinates of a location hidden, or do you need some information about the target itself before you start the remote?
No. All of the people that I do work with, they know that if they send me a coordinate or an address, the nanosecond that I'm finished reading that coordinate or address, I'm there.
Wow.
I don't have to go looking for it or anything else. It's just like, boom, I'm there instantly. So they know that they have to keep the address hidden, like when they're asking me, hey, can you go to wherever and this address? And it's like, sure, okay. And they'll kind of like hide the address from me until they get there to the location. And then they'll say, okay, here's the address. And then it's like, okay, I'm right there next to you. Oh, you're wearing your new black leather coat. And they'll say, how did you know it was new? It's like, I can smell the leather.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The remote viewing and going to different planets, that's something that's interesting. And if you ever do decide to try that out,
Uh-huh.
I would love to hear the results
Oh,
of whatever you
okay.
discover,
All
because
right.
I know I've seen things what other people have experienced, and I won't do, I won't taint your experiences by telling you what other people have found
Okay, sure.
and where, but I would
Uh-huh.
certainly love to hear what you
Okay.
find if you do something like that.
All right. Oh, I will let you know, you bet.
Okay. So a couple of other topics that I cover on this podcast, even though it's Cold War centric, I go off into different rabbit holes now and then. And one of the areas that I have a particular interest in is UFOs.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Have you ever had any experiences or talked with people who've had experiences with UFOs?
I I do, to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of hesitating here. I don't know if I've had any experience with are celestial beings. I like to think that I have, but only maybe on a spiritual level. I would love to meet them. And, this is going to kind of sound a little strange, but I want to touch their skin. I want to feel what what their skin is. Isn't that strange? But I have known a couple of people that I can't really reveal their names, but they have had experiences with those out in the celestial stars, and their stories have been very interesting. And I believe that they are very true. They had good experiences, nothing horrible. Okay. They've just had a connection, like a communication with the star beings, and they had a positive experience. They had, they weren't like abducted and tortured or whatever. They just were spoken with. They knew what the beings from outer space were saying to them. And it's like, wow. And they said, both of them said, I don't know why we were chosen. It's like, well, you're special. There's something about you. They needed to share the information with you. Now, to follow up on that, I don't have any clue if they shared that information with anyone that's in authority about ufology or celestial beings. I don't know. That was just basically none of my business, where they took that information and if they used it and shared it.
Mm. So they just shared their experience with you, and
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's
A
interesting.
little bit of it. They didn't tell me everything because they couldn't. And it's like, that's okay. But they just needed somebody that would believe them. And they weren't scared. They just, just like everybody, if you got a really cool story to tell, you want to tell it to somebody that's going to understand and be excited and, support you. And I think that's what I was.
Do you give people instructions on how to uh, deal with an event that might be coming up? Like, say somebody comes to you and they say, I'm about to have a important event in my life, and I want it to go smooth, and they don't tell you what it is. They want you to tell them what it is and how it's going to play out, and what they
Uh-huh.
can do to maximize the positive outcome of that event.
Uh-huh. Well, there again, if someone is going to, ask me for suggestions, I just listen to their spirit guides, because their spirit guides want that particular person to have a pleasant experience or be able to easily, tend to an issue. And so I listen to the spirit guides. They help guide me, talk to that person saying, well, here, you could do this or this, and that will be very helpful, things like that.
Have you ever met somebody who doesn't have spirit guides?
Not yet.
Okay. So everybody pretty much has some helpful spirits that are tagging along. What about negative spirits? Does everybody have negative spirits that
Oh,
are
I'm
trying to?
sure they probably do.
Mhm.
I don't look for them. And my house is so shielded that when I have a client come in, anything that they have that's a negative spirit around them has to stay outside.
Hmm.
But just to throw this in, I have met many, many negative spirits when I'm out ghost hunting. So, yeah.
We'll get into that.
Sure.
That's the Halloween twist that I
Okay.
wanted to bring into the
Cool.
episode. So
All right.
yeah, that's interesting too. I mean, everything that you do, from psychic readings to past life, and the thing is, I've heard of past life regression hypnosis, where people go under hypnosis and they go
Hmm.
back and experience a past life or something.
Hmm.
I believe there are hypnotic or hypnosis practitioners who can do that effectively.
Hmm.
I think there's also people that shouldn't partake in that because they don't really know what they're doing, and they might be feeding um, or tainting the experience for the
Right.
person, you know?
I
Uh,
agree. If you want to go have that done, which is a lot of fun. It's very interesting. Go to a reputable therapist, hypnotherapist. Don't go to your neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah. Or somebody who just graduated and has their hypnosis certificate now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, go to somebody who's reputable and has experience and is trained in regressive hypnosis.
Right. Exactly. Because going back into your past life that you're living now, or going back into another past life in, the realm of the history of the world, it can be a little shocking because, you think you're going to be, Queen of England or something like that. And you end up being, well, somebody that's not good. It's quite shocking to find out who you were.
Yeah. Or being at the end of a hangman's noose.
Exactly.
Most people wouldn't really want to experience that.
Right. No. Gosh.
You teach a class, and we're going to just jump back to remote viewing for a few minutes.
Okay.
And you teach classes on so that people can learn how to develop their abilities with remote viewing. So you believe that everybody has a psychic ability. It just has been untapped, or they need practice to learn how to use it.
Yes, I truly believe that. I believe every person on the face of this earth has some level of a psychic awareness and psychic abilities. It's just if you've never used it, you need to learn how to train your brain to use it. I'm sure everyone has had some intuition, like they're driving down a road and you think, oh, I better not turn there. Okay. And you don't. And you get home and then you turn on the TV and you find out there was a huge wreck right there 10 seconds after you passed by that particular spot on the road that you were going to turn on. I think everybody's had little twinklings. I call it twinklings throughout their life. They just knew of something and they heeded those messages and went on.
What's the first step if somebody wanted to develop that type of a skill?
Is it psychic or remote view?
Either one.
Oh, well, okay. Like as I teach my class, I give a little bit of history on remote viewing. And then I set up exercises for us to do where they have to find things. Okay. They have like maybe cards in front of them with different symbols. And I tell them to turn the cards upside down and find the triangle. Okay. And then let me see, I think I have 6 exercises. And one starts out very simple, very simple. And if you don't get it, that's okay. And then we move on to more in depth type of psychic abilities. Then I have you kind of like slide right on into remote abilities, where at the end of the class, the finale is I have hidden something. I just usually put it in my kitchen and it's just right in everybody's way. It's not hidden. It's not like in a cupboard. But the people are in my living room and I tell them, okay, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to get up and walk, you just non-physically, just use your mind. Get up, walk into my kitchen and find the particular item. So I give them, plenty of time to do that. And then I always have little journals for them. So I say, okay, open up, come back to the table, open up your eyes, write down what you saw. And I would say a good 98% of them, they saw something in regards to that particular thing. Now, what I mean by that, like, let's say, usually I have this little penguin, this little figurine. Okay, so they see the black and white, or they'll see a bird, or they'll see the coffee pot that's behind the figurine, or they will hear a bird cheeping, or they will see the, what is it, Antarctic that has a penguin. They will have some type of ability that or vision that they saw in regards to that ceramic penguin that I have sitting on the counter. It's amazing. But like I said, I teach you how to get your psychic abilities started. Then we slide on into a few exercises of remote viewing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. So you said something that I really clued into, and that was the journaling aspect of it. How important is the journaling for this whole experience?
You write down everything. When I'm explaining to my students, I tell them to write down what it feels like. And so I kind of force them to really start thinking about everything, every aspect of a remote view journey. And that is physical, that is you can smell, you can taste, you can feel yourself walking. What does a floor feel like? You're walking in your mind. Is the floor, is the tile of the kitchen cold? Is the carpet of the living room warm? Just all these questions. And I want everyone to write down everything because a journal helps you see your progress. It helps you see what you are achieving. And then I also tell people, because they'll say, oh, I couldn't find anything. I say, well, then go back. Go back. There is no law that says you can only go to a location one time. Sometimes when I'm prompted to find something, I might go back 3, 4 times trying to find it. So do that. If you don't, like for an example, to have them go look at something in Italy, go back. If you didn't see it the first time, you might see it the second time.
Have you ever used it to foretell the stock market or a lottery? Or is that even possible?
That's funny. I've had people ask me that before. No, I have to say no when it comes to numbers, anything with numbers, and nothing with names. I work with energies, and so that is what I feel and that's what I see. I've had people say, gosh, we need to take you down the slot machines. You can show me which is going to pay out of, $1 million. It's like, sorry, that's money. It doesn't work with me. I work with energies of people and nature.
If somebody had their ability, they've maybe they're starting to discover they have some kind of abilities, and they were starting to become aware of certain information that they're being downloaded with in some way.
Mm-hmm.
How could they use that information for the betterment of humanity? What would be the best approach to take that information public or to do something positive with that information?
Well, the way I feel about it is if you do have information and it's helpful to someone, try and share that information, but don't get discouraged if, somebody said, I don't believe that. It's okay. You are the messenger. You tried the best that you can. And whoever or whatever is the recipient of that information, if they don't want to use it, then it's just what they don't use or they do use. They can say thank you or they can say no, don't believe that, and you have done your job. You just can't force anybody to take your information that you've received from wherever. It's all up to that recipient.
Got it. So you learned at a really young age that these kind of abilities are not well received by the majority of people.
Oh, yeah. And that's
And
why I really don't talk about it unless somebody finds out or unless I kind of feel the situation out and it's like, I wonder if they would believe me if I told them that grandma's around, things like that. This just doesn't come up in normal conversation when I meet someone.
okay, so you're remote viewing your psychic abilities. You've put those both to use in the other endeavor that we're going to talk about, and that is ghost hunting.
Right.
And there's such a big movement in the paranormal, I guess, community that there's so many ghost hunting television shows and ghost hunting teams
Right.
that are out there now. So I think it's a lot more uh, positively received now.
Not the most part, I think, yeah. After
But
about 10, 12 years, it has been. I think it's I think some of the TV shows has helped bring it forward, but
yes.
there are still a lot of skeptics out there that just don't want to believe, and that's cool.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Again, we're going back to the aspect of people having a fear of the unknown. They don't know
Right.
what these spirits are. They don't know their intentions,
Sure.
and they would rather be just blissfully ignorant about it and not even look in that direction. They just
Well,
like,
sure.
for an example, have you ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so the Native Americans that live in that area,
Hmm.
they will not even look in the direction of the ranch as they're going by there, because they believe so completely that that land is cursed, and if they
Right.
look over there, then they're gonna be cursed as well.
Sure.
And it's partially because that is bred into them. That's their culture, and that's the way they've grown up.
Right.
But and it's kind of the same way with people who don't understand the paranormal. They don't want to look over there and see what's going on because they're so afraid of it.
Hmm. Right. Right. I agree. Yeah.
So I've heard of psychics that have said that they see the spirits in their death form, like that if somebody was hit by a truck, that a
Hmm.
spirit would come to them in that
Hmm.
form, all bloodied and mangled.
Right.
That would be a scary experience for just about anybody.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I
um
agree.
have you ever had that kind of an experience?
No, no, they don't come to me that way. In fact, they come to me like a whole person. They, I don't need to see their wreckage. I just need to see their soul. If you want to say it's a soul, it's their energy. And so that's how I see them. I don't see them after they've had a wreck or whatever.
Okay. So how long have you been doing? And now, okay, talk about ghost hunting and what is it? Because it's not really what it sounds like, is it? I mean, you're not really going out there and trying to trap ghosts. You're not the Ghostbusters.
Well, no, although that movie's pretty cool.
Oh, it's a great movie. Yeah, I agree.
Actually, paranormal investigations are a lot of fun, but I do want to really stress that ghost hunting, okay, I'll just use that term, is not TV shows. Actually, a lot of ghost hunting is a lot of time spent, tedious time, boring time. You just don't walk into any building, any structure, any area, and there's 1,000 ghosts right there going boo and scaring you. And no, that's not how it is. It's a lot of work. It's fun work. You have to be dedicated and devoted because you do get wonderful results if the spirits want to talk to you. All the TV shows are just completely Hollywood. That's it. True ghost hunting, it takes experience, it takes patience. Now, the team that I belong to, we're called Thin Veil Investigators, and we've been around since 2005. And all of us, we're kind of a unique team because all of us are psychics in some way, shape, or form. Now, we do use some electronics. We have our cameras and our recorders and things like that. But we don't show up to a building, with a U-Haul full of all of this surveillance equipment, blah, all that stuff. We use our abilities to find them and then communicate with them. And that's all we do. We're not out there to make TV shows. We are out there to communicate and find out why Joe Blow is still, that died in 1864 is still in this building. Why are you still here? And that's what we do. We communicate.
Do you record any video of your experiences, like to capture evidence?
We do. Yeah, we use our cameras. We don't have any like big professional cameras set up in each corner of every room, but we have our just our little Nikon cameras for taking pictures, our phones for taking video. When we do have some other little cameras, but we don't use this expensive, monumental, huge pieces of equipment. We don't need it. Maybe other team members do, when in their investigative groups, but we don't, because we have our psychic abilities that let us know where everybody is.
And you use electronic audio recorders for
Uh-huh.
like to capture EVPs.
Oh yeah, we capture EVPs, and we, with our cameras, we capture mists, people walking by, orbs, of course, just any kind of materializations, things like that. Oh yeah, we've captured quite a bit. We've got some footage that would, well, kind of curl your hair. It's like, what?
I kind of like
So,
having my hair curled. It's pretty
oh,
straight.
okay,
I kind of like getting my hair curled once in a while.
right.
I'm not interested in gore. I don't like seeing bloody, gory stuff like that. But
You're right. No,
the the
there's no reason for that. You can watch that on TV horror movies.
right the the uh, psychokinetic experiences or the PK experiences or poltergeist, I guess, is another term for that, where objects move and things like that, and then like you said, the shadows, the orbs, the mists, that kind of stuff it gives me the chills. It's creepy, but it's also fun to look at that.
It is, and it's fascinating when it happens right in front of you. When you have a spirit that materializes right in front of you, that's kind of nerve wracking, but it's like, oh my gosh, look at you. You're cool looking.
I
And
bet.
then poltergeists, well, I think my home has a lot of them. There's so many things that happen in here. It's just half the time I probably don't even pay attention to it because I'm so used to it. But I've never experienced a negative, like, possession, if I don't like to use that word, but I've never had, like, my furniture thrown around and windows breaking and things like that happening. And I hope I never do experience things like that. I have to admit, though, that as mentioned earlier, I have come up with a few negative energies. They're not fun. I've been hurt. I've been scratched. I've been pushed downstairs. Um, I've been choked. Those aren't fun at all. But I know how to handle it if I know what's happening. I will get out of that building as fast as I can go. Because ghost hunting, the spirit world, it's just not all fun and games. There are energies out there that are negative, even all the way up to being evil. And I just won't handle those kind of situations. I will leave. And as a piece of advice, if anybody wants to be a paranormal investigator, I should say, if you go into a place and you don't feel good, get out.
And you don't even have to be a paranormal investigator to heed that advice.
Mm-mm. Oh no, I'm sure everybody's gone somewhere and it's like, ooh, I don't like it here. Well, then get out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife and I were house hunting, not ghost hunting, house hunting,
Uh-huh.
about 15 years ago, maybe. And we were looking at some nice houses. We were going to upgrade from this house, and it was, yeah, I think it was around 2005. And we went into this one house, and she had this really negative feeling about that house. She didn't say anything until we left, but and after we left, she told me how negative she felt about that house, and it was a great deal. I mean, we would have got a smoking deal if we had bought that house, but we decided not to do it because of that intuition that she had.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah,
Good for her that she felt that. Yeah. Because I think, like let's just change that scenario. If she wouldn't have said anything and you moved in, you would have had nothing but lots of problems. These spirits like that, they can affect your characteristics, your demeanor, your moods. Maybe both of you would have gotten sick a lot. Maybe all the appliances would just continuously break.
but what you're saying is correct. I mean, back in 2005, if we had bought that, so first of all, 3 years later was the stock market crash of 2008,
Oh, sure.
and we
Sure. Right.
probably would have not been able to hang on to that house,
Right.
because we would have been so much more leveraged with our
Mm.
finances.
Right. Sure.
We
Hmm.
probably would have lost the house anyway. So staying
Yeah.
here was the right move by far.
Right. Well, your wife, I'm glad that she had that intuition about
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
But going back to the ghost hunting and our paranormal investigation,
Mhm.
you couldn't have said it more clearly, that if you don't feel good about a place, just stay away, just walk away.
Right.
So, being that this is the Dead Hand Radio Halloween special, I'm hoping that you have one or two, or maybe more, scary or spooky ghost stories that you could share with me.
Oh, well, I might have one or two.
Okay.
I think one, let me see, that'll scare people. Okay, here in Carson City, there is a little strip mall, and it was built in, I think, 1952. And it's all cinder blocks. And then I believe in the late 1960s, there was a warehouse that was built right behind it. So there's this, I would say it's probably about a 6 foot like breezeway in between the back doors of the stores. There's like, I think 6 or 7 stores in this little mini mall thing. And the back doors all go into like this breezeway. And then there's big doors, of course, that go into their warehouses so the stores can keep their stock back there. Well, there was this one little alcove type of, I don't know, little tiny room. And at one time, there was a metaphysical store that I was giving readings in, and I kept hearing somebody tapping on the back door, and nobody else could hear it but me. And so I asked the owner of the building there. I said, "What's behind there?" Because I'd never gone out into that breezeway. I think it was more of a firewall type of breezeway. And he said, "Oh, well, go back there and look." And he said, "I'm really not sure what's back there. I never go back there. It's just all full of junk." Okay, fine. So I go back in there, and there's this is where I found this little alcove, little closet thing, and it had metal doors, and that's what I was hearing. And so I just opened it up just a little bit because I was curious, and it was like, oh my God, close the door. Well, I got out of there real quick. So a couple days later, I told my investigative team, I said, "There's something back there. We have got to go investigate." And so the owner of the building said, "Okay." Well, one of the managers of the metaphysical store knew I could hear and see, people that have crossed over. And so he agreed to stay there that night so we could use the restroom and go in and get drinks of water if we had food or something for breaks. And so he decided to stay there at night with us. And so we went on our merry way. We started investigating the stores and going into that breezeway. And all of a sudden, I got this big hand around my throat. I was slammed up into the wall, which I don't want to sound dramatic. I was only pushed into the wall, maybe 12 inches. I was almost next to the wall. And it was choking me. And my other team members are saying, "Oh my God, what do we do? What do we do?" It's like, I don't know. And they took pictures of me, and there's a picture of me, especially that you could see my head, all the way pulled back against the wall. You can't see the entity that grabbed a hold of me, but the person, the man that stayed behind to help us out, that we could go back into the metaphysical store, he had a sense that something horrible had a hold of me. And so he grabbed a hold of one arm, and he tried to pull me out of the breezeway into the metaphysical store. And for about 5 seconds, I was toggling back and forth because he had my right arm. The entity had let go of my throat, but had a hold of my left arm and was trying to pull me back out into this breezeway. Well, finally, the man from the metaphysical store just, I mean, it just pulled me in. And I mean, when he pulled me in, of course, I like ended up on my knees on the floor, but I got away from that entity. And the other team members, they're just standing there going, what is going on? And I said, I can't go back out there again. But so fast forward, the entity, when I would go give readings in that store, later on as the days progressed, I kept hearing the tapping, but then it just eventually went away. And so I got curious. And this was, let's say, 6 months later. I got curious and I went and I looked in that closet, little alcove, and that entity wasn't there anymore. So that was interesting. That was very interesting. Now, my second story was.
Wait. Can I ask you some questions about that one?
Oh, sure.
God, because what a story, man. That is.
Oh, it was scary.
I didn't want to interrupt you while you're telling the story because I was visualizing everything that you were talking about.
It was horrible.
But so when you first discovered that little alcove in the little closet where the entity was hiding or where it was staying or whatever, and you opened that door and then you realized that there was something in there and you left real quick, what did you feel or what did you experience at that moment?
Oh, that I knew it just wasn't a dead person. This was a very negative, maybe inner earth kind of energy that was in there. It was, gosh, what would be a good word? Rotten. It was rotten.
And so it stayed there for a little while and it was trying to get your attention. Obviously, probably had some kind of a connection to you or where it sensed you were sensitive and it was trying to get your attention.
Right.
And which drew you back there to it. And then do you think because you ignored it for so long that it just decided to go away?
I'm going to have to say yes with that because I did ignore it. I wouldn't acknowledge it. And like with all spirits and all entities, many, I can't say all, but many will move on to where maybe they can go, I don't know, attack someone else someplace else.
Now, why do you think it singled you out of, because your whole team is has psychic abilities, but why do you think it singled you out?
Probably because I discovered it, like a month before. And so we made like that connection, like kind of the story, like when a vampire wants to come in your house, it can't until you invite it in.
Right. Okay. So you gave it permission.
Yeah, just by going out and being curious about where that tapping was coming from. I think me opening just a door, just a crack, that gave it the permission to have some kind of connection with me then.
So you somewhat identified what the entity possibly could be or could have been. Have you done a lot of research and studying to learn about different lore and mythology to that these entities are, or is this just something that you've discovered through your intuitive abilities, your psychic
I would
abilities?
have to say both because I have researched. I just believe in a lot of things. And I did happen to take a picture down the hallway and I captured something. And the only way I can describe it, it just looks like a great big huge wolf. And I don't know if it's a wolf, but in the picture, it envisioned itself as a wolf, but something very like out of a horror story, a vision of what a wolf would look like. Now I can't say it was. I think it just materialized for that picture to let me know, hey, here I am. Yeah, that was scary. That was creepy. That I did not like that at all. That scared me. And I don't scare easy.
So, but obviously it didn't scare you enough to stop doing the paranormal investigation.
Oh, yeah. But I think that's where my intuition comes in because I'll feel, that there's a negative energy and it would just be stupid for me to go on into that particular building and maybe get hurt.
How long into your paranormal investigation um, journey were you at that point? Since you started the company, from 2005 on.
Oh, I think, let me see. Gosh, I think it was probably about 2006,
Oh,
7.
so right after.
Yeah, I can't, yeah. I'd have to go back in my notes for, the exact date.
So do you still keep journals of everything that you do?
Oh, goodness sakes, yes. I have got binders and files and notebook. Oh, gosh. I need my own library.
Well, you're writing uh, um, a number of books, so you're probably building up your own library, right? You're in the
Yeah,
process
yeah.
of it anyway. Okay, so story number 2. Did you want
Oh,
to
story number 2. This is
continue?
this is cool.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm enjoying this.
There is a very old hotel here in town. It's called St. Charles Hotel, and it was built in 1864. And it has been a hotel since then. It's never closed its doors of being some type of hotel. Okay, our team would give tours of this hotel for, oh gosh, I don't know how long we did that. 10 years, let's say. I don't remember. And so in the interim, I have a TV show and it's called Psychic Creations. And so my producer, I told him, I said, we're going to give a tour. How about us making a TV show out, an episode out of the tour? He says, oh, that'd be really cool. Okay, now my producer, he had an accident earlier in life where he has to wear an oxygen tank. Okay. And that's okay. It's really cool. He just carries everything around with him, but that's an important part of the story. So we were giving the tour. First, we would give the history of the building, and then we'd have people go out throughout the different rooms and look for ghosts. Okay, fine. So we're up on the third floor where there is most of the activity going on. And there was one room that was empty. And now you have to get in mind, if you can see in your mind a hotel that's kind of was not in the best looking, wasn't the best type of hotel, that top floor, because they were starting to refurbish the old rooms. Okay. So it looked a little bit ratty up there. That's a good word. Looked a little bit ratty. So we were walking around, and a friend of mine that is a very good psychic, she and my producer walked into this one room that was numbered 309. And all of a sudden, they were just getting ready to walk out, and I heard this huge slap. And I heard my producer say, oh, oh. And my friend, which was right in front of him, said, what happened? What happened? Well, about that time, I'm in the room. And he said, I just got hit. And we helped him out of the room. And his glasses, he had to wear glasses. They were knocked off his face. They were all askew. And one of the arms of the glasses was bent. And I said, oh my gosh. What happened was there was a young spirit in there in this room. I would say maybe anywhere from maybe 15, 16 years old. And what he did, he was just very mischievous. I think he was trying to get my producer's name is Michael. And I think what he was trying to do is be mischievous and mean. And he hit Michael so hard it knocked his glasses off, which had the tubes for his oxygen. And I think the entity went after his life force. So we're out in the hallway, and there was a couple of guests, and they came running up to where the location of this room was. And I said, take care of Michael. I've got something to do. I went back into that room and I saw this young boy. And boy, did I let him have it. I told this entity, don't you ever touch anyone ever again, especially us. Oh my gosh, did he start pouting? And he, I think, was ready to maybe smack me. And I just said, okay, give it a try. Just see what I can do to you. And so he backed away, and I still let him have it, where he ran out of the room and he literally went through my friend that had saw and heard Michael getting hit. And then there was another guest that was there, and he said, oh my God, that entity just went through me as well.
Wow.
And so we were all standing around there. Well, I had to hurry up and get Michael's glasses fixed, because he could only be without oxygen for 4 minutes before he started going a little loopy. And so, but the cool thing about this is Michael had the camera going all the time this happened.
Good.
And
Good
so,
producer.
yes, and we've got the footage of everything that happened. Now, we don't have the footage of course, the entity hitting him, because, of course, he had the camera looking outwards from his face. But we've just got all the audio footage. We've got people saying, oh my gosh. We've got my friend and the guest saying, oh my God, he just went through me. And you can hear me in the background yelling at the entity to never do this. It was cool.
That sounds exciting. A
But
little bit creepy.
uh-huh. But in the same hotel, there was a man that actually lived in the hotel for about 10 years. And his name was Phil. We called him Mean Phil. And he did not like me at all. Oh my gosh, he just did not like me at all. So, walking down the stairs, he decided to push me, and he did. And it's a good thing that the wall, it was a staircase that you went down, I think like 8 stairs, turned a corner, went down another 8 or 10 stairs to the other level. And he pushed me into the wall. And it's a good thing that wall was there, because if not, I could have gotten very, very hurt.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about that was one of my teammates and also the caretaker for the hotel saw this. So they can vouch for me that this actually happened.
Wow.
So that was kind of scary. So I actually, when I go downstairs, even if I'm not investigating, I take one stair at a time, like a real old person. I won't walk downstairs like normal people. I go one at a time.
Well, when you have entities attacking you like that, that's pretty dangerous, walking up and down stairs.
Oh, it is. It is. And so it's like, wow. So those are my 2 stories. I've had some really cool things happen too, but being this is a Halloween one, those are my stories, and I'm sticking to them.
Those are great stories. That I'm glad Mike was okay. I'm glad he didn't suffer permanent damage or have worse injuries than getting his glasses knocked off of
Yeah,
him.
because it could have. I hurried up and I fixed his glasses as well as I could. So, the next day he could go get them fixed. But that's scary. And they will do that. And boy, that teenage boy, I let him have it. I refuse to let any spirit or entity hurt anyone that's around me. If they feel the need, hurt me, because I can deal with it, which I have. I've been scratched and things like that. But boy, when they hurt a guest or one of my team members, or like with Michael, my producer, I let those spirits have it.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah. So I want to get into how to deal with those kind of beings, but I also really want to hear the story about your painting, your
Okay.
haunted painting. Go ahead and just tell me, recap the story that you gave me via email on
Oh, okay.
how you
Well,
first came in contact with it.
okay. Well, it's a long story. So if you could kind of bear with me because there's more to it than what I sent you. That was a very brief account. And then there's kind of a follow-up story of what happened when it was here at the house. So I'll just I'll just start talking and when I'm done, I'll let you know when I'm done.
Go for it.
All right. Well, in 2005, our paranormal investigative team was asked to go on a ghost hunt at a historical hotel here in Carson City, and it's called the St. Charles Hotel. It was built in 1864 and has the distinct honor of being a hotel that has never closed its doors. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Well, after the invest or at the investigation, hung on a wall in a very long hallway was a painting that just really wasn't very appealing. Let me see, I measured it. It's 30 inches by 20 inches, and it's ugly, and it had a chipped like filigree frame. And then imagine, if you will, the painting being of a dark green, black green forested mountains in the background with a gray looking river in the forefront, with the pebbly and sandy shore on the bottom right of the portrait, and a couple of pine trees on the bottom left. And the colors are real dark. There's absolutely nothing happy looking about this painting. And also, there's no signature or date or any defining marks anywhere on the front or on the back of the canvas to announce who the artist was. Well, when I first saw it hanging there on the hall, I knew something was sinister in it. I could physically see like a black ribbon kind of entity weaving in and out of the trees. It was really weird. Well, we conducted our investigation and then went on our merry way. Well, a few days later, the caretaker called and said, that painting is gone and we can't find it anywhere. She wasn't accusing me because, we're friends, but she just wanted to let me know that it disappeared. It's like, well, that's weird. Okay, well, then fast forward about 5 years, and the same caretaker, she calls me saying, you know, you need to come to the hotel. I went, uh-oh, okay. So when I arrived, she tells me that there's a surprise in this conference room that she wanted me to see. Now, the conference room is like narrow, very narrow, small room, and it just kind of like housed extra furniture, a junk room, really. But it did have a large window looking out into the hallway. And the only person who had the keys in the conference room was a caretaker. Well, that morning, she was walking down the hallway past that room and she noticed something different, like a painting that hadn't been there the previous day. So she unlocked the door, turned the light on, and there was the ugly forest painting sitting on the floor on its side, leaning against an old dresser. And the frame was off of it. Well, we were pretty baffled. Um, and the painting was just left there then in all the other jumble. Well, fast forward a few months, there was a man by the name of John who was a permanent resident of the hotel. And he decided to clean up the conference slash junk room so it could be used as a lounge. And he decided to hang the painting on the wall. And when he did, he felt something was really wrong with it. And he called me asking what that feeling was all about. Well, I told him there's a negative spirit inside. And then I told him, I said, I'll come to the hotel and I'll conduct a ritual to bind the spirit to the painting, which means that the entity could never leave the portrait or couldn't harm any human. Okay, that's what I intended. Well, a couple months later, John called me again, telling me that he was moving the painting and it burned him and to get over to the hotel ASAP. Okay, so when I arrived, John showed me what happened. He had been wearing a silver bracelet, and each of the links were quite large and flat. Okay. Now, on his skin were burn marks of each of the links. They weren't horrific burns, but looked like a bad sunburn. But you could distinctly see each of the links kind of burned into his skin. So, once again, I bound that spirit with a more severe type of ritual. And then John said that I could have the painting, and the caretaker said, okay. And I said, only if it stays here. I refused to bring it home. So they moved with my help, they moved the painting into a small, little tiny room they made like a museum, which was actually right next to the conference room. Well, we Veilers for many years usually gave 3 haunted tours each year. And now the painting that was now hanging in the museum became a huge hit at the tours as we encouraged guests to touch it and then let us know how they felt or what they were feeling. Many people felt the portrait to be quite warm or even cold to the touch. They would instantly feel nauseous, become dizzy, or a headache would just literally grab them. Oh, they'd put their hands to their heads. And then many didn't feel anything. Some couldn't even walk into the small museum room as they felt frightened or sick to their stomach. It's just interesting the different responses. So once again, fast forward to late 2018. There were extensive renovations going on at the hotel, and the caretaker suggested that it would be best if I took that painting home so nothing would happen to it. You wouldn't get thrown out or get hurt or torn. Well, I kind of dreaded that idea, but I did want to save the portrait. So I arrived at the hotel and I put that painting in a large black leaf bag and then into a box that once held my box fan. Then I put that into the trunk of my car, telling the entity, don't you dare do anything stupid while I'm driving home. Well, I live about 2 miles from the hotel, and oh boy, I drove carefully. I drove slowly, but a few blocks from the hotel, wouldn't you know, a large service truck didn't stop at a stop sign, turned right in front of me, and I nearly hit it. But it was a good thing I was driving slow. And then I continued home driving slow while cussing that painting out all the rest of the way. I have 2 sheds that are on the east side of my home. And in one of them is where I put the painting. And as mentioned, I did not want to put that portrait inside my house, but I thought being in the shed would be okay. At least I was hoping. Well, my daughter moved back in with me for a while she was reaching her degree at University of Reno. And then after she graduated, she found an apartment to move into. Now, all of her belongings were in boxes in that one shed where the painting was. And then I have another shed, and it was filled with all kinds of holiday decorations, boxes and bins and stuff. Well, a little while later, there was just a handful of boxes left in that one shed where my daughter had moved her things out, and for some reason, I had to go into the shed, and I noticed that the painting was gone, and I freaked. I became very fearful for my daughter, and I immediately called her and asked her if it was accidentally taken to her apartment, in the move. Well, she didn't have it. And like she said, I wouldn't have that evil thing near me anyway. Well, I then went on a mission to find the painting because even though I knew how to take care of it and handle it, I still didn't trust it with anyone else. I was fretful. I couldn't find that painting anywhere. But about a week later, it was really weird. About a week later, I could hear that painting calling me. Now, I there's no way in the world I can describe to you what I mean by it was calling me. I could just sense it was calling me. So once again, I went to the shed and moved things around with the boxes that were left, still nothing. And I had an idea about looking in the other shed, but then I thought that was stupid. I did not put that painting in the shed, in the second shed when I brought it home. But I began to move all those boxes around and the second shed, just for the heck of it. And on one side, there were 3 large boxes, and they were quite heavy because of the contents within. These boxes were shoved real tight up against the wall. And I'll be darned, I moved the 2 top boxes and was shocked to see the painting. How it wedged itself behind those 3 heavy boxes, to this day, I will still Never know. It was incredible to see this painting. It moved itself once again, but I was very, very happy to have found it. Even just as a safety factor, I was relieved to find it. Um, and now, to be honest, I know this sounds a little crazy, I guess, but to be honest, now at least once a week, I go out into the sheds to make sure it's still there. And
Oh, I don't blame
I,
you.
yeah, just to make sure. But I really believe that the painting knew that it might actually be taken away when my daughter's, had all of her items moved out of that shed. So it saved itself. It disappeared at the hallway, in the hallway, well, at the hotel all those years ago. Why not again this time? So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that's another incredible story. And I
Isn't
have
that amazing?
yeah, I have 1,000 questions for it.
Okay.
And as you were talking, I had to write some down because didn't want to interrupt the telling of
Oh, sure.
the events. But
Okay.
so let's go back to the very beginning when you first encountered the painting during
Hmm.
the initial investigation of that hotel.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the the events that you were investigating, what was the reason you guys were there investigating the hotel?
Well, because it's a very historic hotel here in town, and it is very haunted.
Okay.
And when we went in there, we were expecting to meet Mark Twain or, somebody from the 1800s. No, the spirits that came through were people that had crossed over there in, like the early 2000s and the late 1990s. It was cool.
Hmm. Were any of the activities associated with the entity that was in the plant painting? The activities of the hotel that you were investigating that were going on there?
I don't believe so. I think that the activity and the spirits that we met that day, they were doing their own thing. Like there was now this hotel never allowed prostitutes to come in, but right down the street is where the red light district was. And I met a prostitute in the hotel, a spirit, and she had on a dirty yellow dress and she was angry. Oh my gosh, she was angry. And I said, why are you so mad? And she said, because my client killed me before he paid me.
Oh my god.
So that's the
How
kind of activity. And to answer your question, I don't think that the entity in the painting really had much to do, if anything, to do with the activities of other spirits that were going on in the hotel.
okay, right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the entity itself. Now,
Hmm.
you said you think it was a demon slash inner earth being.
Right.
Can you explain a little bit about why you think that this is what it is?
Well, I have a tough time with the word demon. That's just kind of been overused, but I do, well, I have met some inner earth beings. They're nasty, they're mean, they're ornery, they can harm people. I I really don't know how to describe it. They're not like a person, okay, like a spirit that walks around and stuff. To me, anyway, they're not like a person. They're like an essence or an energy that's evil. And when I first saw that painting, I could tell something was wrong. Something was sinister about it. But then when I looked at it, now not my physical vision, but my psychic eye saw this like black ribbon thing moving around in it like a snake. And then when I could see that, I knew that this painting, there was something desperately wrong with it.
Okay, okay, that's God, so intriguing. Like, I really want to hear more about these inner earth creatures or
Hmm.
beings or whatever.
Right.
But how could something like that become trapped inside of a painting?
Well, that's a good question because it could be maybe the artist itself, himself, herself, was maybe a very negative person. And while they were painting this picture, it attached itself to the paint, to the canvas. It really is a dark picture, like I was saying in my narration about it. There's nothing good looking about this picture at all. I would never, ever want it in. Well, even if I had a historical hotel, I would never want this there. And actually, nobody even knew where it came from. It just appeared one day, many years before our team went into the hotel to, to investigate. So there could have been something in the hotel, a negative, not necessarily in the hotel, but a negative outside somewhere that jumped itself into the painting. Like mentioned, it could have been the artist. It could have been the person that um, made the frame itself, put the wood together and put the canvas onto the wood. There's a number of ways that different spirits and entities like this can attach themselves to a particular object.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, so it could have been done possibly intentionally by the creator of the painting,
Could
even,
be.
right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, has yeah. Now you say you saw you only witnessed the entity through your psychic eye,
Mhm. Right.
so it's not visible to the normal human eye. But
No.
has anybody else experienced this the visualization of that entity?
Not that I'm aware of. Nobody's ever told me, even my team members, but they can feel it. Like I mentioned, some people will feel it be very warm, not hot, but very, very warm. And some people that'll touch it, it's been cold. And I myself have touched it throughout all of these years at different times. And I felt it being warm. I've felt it being cold. I've gotten nauseous. I've gotten dizzy. There were times, even when we were giving a tour, that I couldn't walk into the little museum room because it made me sick.
Being that there is a quote unquote evil entity entrapped inside this painting and
Mhm.
bound to it, or what was the term that you used?
Oh,
Um,
it's bound. Uh-huh.
okay, so yeah, because you bound it on several occasions just
Yeah,
to make sure that
twice I
it
had
couldn't
to
get
do
out.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, twice.
What happens if that painting is ever destroyed?
You know what? I don't know. I told my daughter that if there's anything that ever happens to me, take it out in the middle of Nevada and burn it. And the second that you light a match, run away. And I know that sounds very dramatic, but I think that is the only way that whatever is in that painting will leave the painting. And if that entity that's in there goes back into the earth, well, then hopefully it'll stay there.
Thought just crossed my mind. Wouldn't it be safer maybe just to bury that thing out in the desert somewhere as opposed to burning it?
Yes, that could be, but that's just what I sense. Burning fire is very cleansing, and fire gets rid of a lot more things than burying something.
Got it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if even if the fire released the entity, it could go back into where it came from originally.
Sure,
Um,
yeah, that's something that I I can't say no to.
yeah, and
Mhm.
whereas then this is all speculation, but hey, man, it's
Oh, sure.
fun to speculate, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't say this is 100% gospel. I have no clue. This is just something that I feel, that I sense that it would be best to just burn it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So can you go into a little more detail about the inner Earth beings and where where they come from and why is the term inner Earth being attached to them?
Well, let's see. I really don't have much knowledge about these, but in my opinion, I just feel that there's a lot of negativity in the world, in the earth, Mother Earth, outside, in the universe, and that there are things that can travel underground that have that have and can and probably will live underground. I really don't know what they are. I don't know if they're just energies or if they're reptiles or if they're water, or I just really don't know. But I have experienced, that's just the term I use, inner earth entities. They're just not very they're just not very nice, as what we ran into here. And they live, I guess they live or they exist underground. And one thing that I would like to say is the Tommyknockers that used to be in the mines, are probably still in the mines, that the miners from Cornwall especially, they brought that legend over here when they worked the mines, like for example, up in Virginia City, and they would take food and water and stuff to appease those Tommyknockers so they would not harm them. Now, I really like that word, Tommyknockers, and so I feel that anybody, anything that is living underground that is negative, they might have the term Tommyknockers put onto it. I know that that might not be the best terminology for these, but to describe them, I don't think I could, Andy. They're just things that I've seen, things that I've experienced. One entity I ran into many years ago, he, for an example, he looked like a distorted wolf. Okay, and then with me seeing like that black ribbon going through the trees and the shore on that my haunted painting, I really can't describe what they look like. I think they're an essence and they can change into whatever they need to change into.
Could could these type of entities be related to the Native American myth known as the Skinwalker?
I can't say no to that. They could be like a shapeshifter, like the skinwalkers. Um, I just like I said, I just call them inner earth entities because that's where I feel that they came from. They didn't come from my next door neighbor or or anything like that. They feel to me quite, gosh, what would be a good word? Heavy, like the dirt around them, the pressure around them, like when you go into like the ocean, the further down you go, the pressure. Okay, that's what I feel them as, is the deeper they go into the earth, they feel heavy. They feel like a heavy pressure to me. I know it's I can't really describe it to where that anybody would really understand. This is all just how I feel and sense them.
How do you not spend 24 hours a day researching and trying to find out what these things are? Because I've never even experienced it, and I'm like super fixated on what these things are.
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh, I've done some research, but not to sound mean, I'm not interested because I can't be interested. And what I mean by that is when I do research, like for a book, okay, I do historic research and write historic books. Well, those people that I'm researching are right here with me, helping me. We find incredible information from the most obscure sources. And I know darn well it's the entities that we're researching. I shouldn't say entities, the spirits that we're researching, helping us to research. So that's the point that I want to make with that. I don't and I can't research these inner earth beings because it's like I summon them to me. And that's the last thing on earth I want to have around me are those particular entities.
yeah, that's understandable. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from the last experience that you shared where the entity grabbed you by the throat and
Mm-hmm.
was pushing you against the wall, if
Yeah.
they can manifest a force that strong, there is some physical danger to encountering these things, and I
Oh,
would not
sure.
recommend anybody try to actually summon these things. That would be
No,
a little irresponsible at the least.
no, they're dangerous. They're mean. They're hurtful. And even though I don't get scared a lot, they scare me because I don't know what they can do.
So we'll leave that story at that and move on because that's a little bit heavy. So, but it's interesting. When you do readings for people,
Mhm.
whether it's through your website or in person, do you do many
Mhm.
readings in person?
Oh yes, I have people just come over to the house here. Yeah.
Okay. And you use the stones. You said there's 117 stones.
Uh-huh. Okay, I have 117 stones, and I do have a couple of shells and a manzanita stick and a feather. I just wanted to make sure I have all the elements. And I have programmed them to mean something. Now, like, let's say, for an example, one of my stones, it means high finances. Okay. Now, when a client will choose that, I use the meaning of it, its meaning, of high finances. I use that just as a guide. And then I listen to the universe's information that they're giving me. And I can tell the person, like, for an example, I see that you're going to be getting a raise, and it's not like a 5 cent raise, because you're going to be going into a different annex. And so you're going to get paid for more responsibility, something like that. Or also, I can also say, your kids need new shoes, and it would be best that you don't sit down there at the MGM or the Nugget and piss away your paycheck. Those your family needs that. So I mean, I say things with diplomacy and tact, of course, but so I'm just using those two as an example, that it could be, telling someone I'm foretelling the future, or I'm also, on the other side of the spectrum, giving them perhaps, hopefully, some advice.
The person wanting the viewing will choose the stones, and then you look at the stones that they've chosen, and for each stone that they've chosen, or as a collective, you give them your interpretation of what's going to happen, what's coming in their
Hmm.
future.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. What I have is like, for an example, I have people choose 9 stones or whatever for a full reading. And then sitting in front of them is a little mat, little felt mat. And I watch how they put the stones down. Stone placement helps give me information about them too.
So future seeing, if we could talk a little bit about that, because that's kind of what you do with your stones for the people you do your viewings for. But have you ever had, like, whether you expected it or did it intentionally, have a precognitive vision, or I guess that could also be called a premonition, that you later found out to become true?
Oh, yeah. I have visions all the time, about everything, not just like my own life, which is ironic because I really see my own future. I see things, for other people, but I have to really, like, oh my God, strain and strain to try and see something in my own future. But
Hmm.
what I have is, I've explained this to other people, that often on my left side, okay, your left side, your psychic side, okay, your right side is your human side. But off to my left side, I have what I call a psychic TV, and it is going 24/7, and it's 20 seconds in the future. And everything that I see 20 seconds later, it happens. And that's enough to drive me crazy sometimes. Sometimes I have to ignore it because there's just so much going on. Now, I don't see everything in the world. Significant things. that are going on.
C- Can you give me any examples that would be well known? Maybe
Oh,
that you've seen.
oh gosh, I see so much that most of the time I can't say that it's a world type of thing. I can't see what's happening over in England or Iraq or Peru or, things like that. It's mostly about what's going on maybe in Carson City and what's going on maybe in my home. Like, for instance, I could be sitting here talking with you, and all of a sudden there's my TV and it shows me somebody knocking at the door. Okay, well, I'm in my den, so I can't see my front door. Even if it's like in the summertime, or even now, if it's open, I can't see somebody walking up the sidewalk to come to the door. And so all of a sudden, 20 seconds later, knock, knock, knock. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to ignore you or whatever because I know who's there. So that's how I see things. I can't say it's really on a world, global focus.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking because the world is in such a crappy place right now with the COVID, with the politics, with just everything that's going on, that I'm seeing everything that's going on. And when it comes to politics, it's like, oh my God, get out of my face. There's just too much.
Well,
So I try
yeah.
and ignore it.
Do you think that could be because the country is in such a turmoil that you're kind
Mm-hmm.
of receiving the energy from the living people as
Oh,
well as
yeah.
spirits? Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. And I'm thinking that now I have talked with a lot of people like since February, March, and a lot of people, even those that don't really believe in spirits and ghosts that much, they're even saying that they're having a lot of activity. And I keep telling them that's because the spirits are feeling all of the stress, the fear, the tension, the anger, the everything else that is so prevalent in the air nowadays, that the spirits are feeling it and they're becoming active
Wow.
because this world is just in a bad place, and nobody's happy. You know, people are sick, people are dying, people are unemployed, people are stressed, they're worried, they're fearful, and the spirits are feeling that, and they're getting stressed and fearful and wondering what's
Wow.
going on.
That's an interesting perspective on it. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just and like I said, I've got some friends that live in Europe and stuff like that, and even they've said, "Oh my gosh, the people." Yeah, in reference to spirit, that's like, "Oh my gosh, my house has never been that active." And it's like, yeah, well, that's because they're all upset too on the other side.
Have you ever had anything like that significant that has later on come true?
Yes. Yeah. I've seen horrendous events happen. Now, I can remember when 9/11 happened, living here in Carson City. And I remember waking up thinking that I heard a huge explosion. And I was married at the time, and my husband, he had to get up like at 5 in the morning to go to work. And I remember just waking up thinking, well, I said out loud, "Wow, that was a huge explosion." And he said, "I never heard anything." Well, then a little while later, he turned the TV on, and then we found out what happened. So as far as huge global events like that, I I have to say, only once in a while do I see things like that. It's mostly that I sense something is going to happen, or I hear something like the explosion, before it happened. If things like that. It's only on a rare occasion that I ever psychically see a global or a national or something in our country, something that happens. I feel, I can feel that something is wrong, but then I won't know it until after it's happened. And then it's like, oh, that's what I was feeling, because then the feeling goes away.
And okay, so I've got so many things I want to talk to you about. But I know we're getting short on time, and I want to spend a good chunk of time on two more pieces real
Okay.
quick. So number one is remote influencing.
Mhm.
And the last thing I want to talk about, maybe we could combine these into to one,
Mhm.
but developing the gift.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, remote influencing. So
Mhm.
I have read that there are people who can use their psychic powers to influence things that happen in the world.
Okay. Mhm.
And for an example, one of the remote viewers from that military program that I mentioned earlier
Mhm.
was tasked. Sounds crazy,
Yeah,
but
okay.
we're already in the realm of weird and crazy, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay. We're
so,
good.
so bringing this to the table is
Uh-huh.
not, is totally in line with what we're talking about. Now, this guy was tasked by the military
Mhm.
to remote influence Gorbachev
Okay.
to abandon communism.
I'll be darned. Okay.
And what was the
Wow.
result? What was the result of in 1990, 91,
Mhm.
actually starting in 89 when they got rid of the Berlin Wall.
Right, right. They did. Uh-huh.
And then into the 90s, the early 90s, there was a coup against Gorbachev because he was taking the country of the Soviet Union in a direction that was completely against what the Soviets wanted.
Mhm. Okay.
The power structure in the Soviet Union was completely against what Gorbachev wanted to do. He
Mhm.
basically wanted to democratize the Soviet Union and let all the satellite states become sovereign countries again.
Okay.
Was that because he was raised in an environment that made him want to um, reform his country, or was it because we had one of the most powerful psychics on the planet remote influencing him to make those decisions?
Oh, wow.
Fascinating. Are you familiar with remote influencing at all?
No, I have never heard of it before.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to research that. That's
There
for
you go.
sure.
There you go.
Mhm.
Something for you to look at. But
Mhm.
so okay, we won't talk anymore about that. But
Okay.
I'm happy to have enlightened you with something new.
Oh,
That's cool.
yeah. That's awesome. I've never tried that before.
Please don't try it on me. Okay.
Okay.
um, but then okay, so the last section I want to talk about real quick.
Mhm.
Actually, not real quick. I want to spend the rest of however long you want to talk about it. But
Okay.
in developing that gift,
Mhm.
for somebody who may, or I think you're right. I think everybody at some level has a psychic ability,
Mhm.
but for whatever reason, majority of people are either afraid of or don't believe it, and are not willing to tap into it.
Mhm. Right.
I think there's a smaller um, portion of those people that um, are willing to, but are
Mhm.
unable to because of some kind of a block. And
Mhm. Right.
I've heard the term psychic block used.
Mhm. Right.
I feel like I might be in that category.
Mhm.
But then there's a smaller category of people like yourself that have the gift and have been able to develop it and put it to useful um, application in their lives and to help other people's.
Mhm. Right.
So how do you go from being, not only skeptical and non-believer to where you're at?
Let's see. Well, just like with people in my classes, okay. I also give a class on how to read minerals and stuff. So there again, like with the remote view class, I really try and tap into people's ESP, their sensitivity, their psychic eye, their psychic sensitivity, and I just tell them, if you want this, all you have to do is be open to it. And then once you're open to it, okay, that you like let's say you're skeptical or you want to know what psychic ability you have, all you have to do is just say, hey universe, I'm interested, and kapow, they will lead you to books, to people, to situations to start learning and or honing your abilities. I think a lot of people, when they say that they're psychically blocked, it's like, okay, that's just showing me that you just got other things that you're doing in your life, and that's okay. You don't have time to open yourself up to psychic experiences, and that's okay. But the people that are wanting it, I think once that they give themselves permission, like saying, I really would like to learn this. I would like to see if I have any abilities. The second that you do that, your mind, your spirit, your essence, your everything is open to start learning. And then it's easy. From there on out, I think, yeah, I think it's easy. Once you give yourself permission, it's like, and I've seen this happen thousands of times, literally, is that if you say I'm open, it's amazing what the universe gives to you to help you learn it and embrace it. We have had people come to our team, our ghost hunting team, or to me saying, I don't think I'm psychic. I don't think I can ghost hunt. It's like, really? Okay. Once that you are with us, if you come with it, in fact, I'm going to use one of our team members, Carolyn. I just love her. She says, I'm not psychic. It's like, oh, okay. She went on an investigation with us twice. And all of a sudden it's like, Sandy, blah, 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 blah. What does this mean? It's like, the longer you're with us, the more you learn, the more you do, the more your abilities are going to come shining through. And she's an awesome psychic right now, where she had self-doubt about her 7, 8 years ago. Human beings are really complicated. And I'll tell you why, is because a lot of people, they don't want to accept that they've got an ability or go under hypnosis or whatever, is because on a psychological level, they don't want to look stupid to people that are watching them or looking at them. I have seen this many, many, many times before. They say that they're blocked, and it's like, that's okay. But then I see them as a person, and their personality, their demeanor, their characteristic, they're afraid of what somebody, their loved ones, their family, their neighbors, their friend will think of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a huge stoppage point. That's my opinion.
I agree with that 100%.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that you nailed it right there.
Being a human being is so hard. It's so difficult. Each and every one of us are so unique and wonderful, but we do have our flaws. And me too. I've got one or two.
Okay.
I have a friend. She's an awesome psychic. Now, here's one of my flaws. I don't trust a lot of psychics. I just don't. Okay. But I have a couple that I talk with, and one that I'm speaking of. We're very, very close friends. And but she doesn't want to see things. She says, universe, you can give me all kinds of information about what's going on, but I do not want to see any ghosts. Once I do, I'm quitting my job. I think that things like that you don't want to see, you won't, because you'll put that blockage, quote unquote blockage, inside of your own psychic senses, where you won't see that. You'll only see people, Uncle George walking around that, he's eating an apple, or something like that. Yeah. That's just my opinion. Now, I see those kind of things is because I help people with, closure.
Does it bother you to see
Oh,
that
it
stuff?
bothers me horribly. Yeah. I don't let myself see those things too often, only if somebody's just really, a family, a loved one, or something like that. Please, please let me know. In fact, I've got a lady right now that I'm trying to help. Her son committed suicide, and she's having a tough time with that. Well, I have to use a lot of diplomacy and tact to talk to him on the other side and give her the messages. So it's hurtful, a lot of times it's just very hurtful to see someone that has been in a car wreck, let's say. It's very hurtful to see that, because it's like, oh my gosh, these poor people. Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, I love what I do, but sometimes it's just not fun.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, no worries. Oh, I've just had so many experiences, and I love Andy, I just love to share any information that I have. I don't have all the answers. I search for answers every single day.
There's our world is a lot bigger. I mean,
Oh.
it's immense as it is compared to us as little tiny ants.
Oh, goodness sakes,
But
yeah.
what we perceive, the physical realm that we live in, is really the what the majority of us can only perceive.
Mhm.
But there's
Oh,
so
yeah.
much more to it than that.
Oh, there is. Oh, there really is. And I not to talk about myself and all the time, but it's like, I have had this all of my life. I have had fun with it. I have learned from it. Sometimes it's a little scary, but I wouldn't. I protect it. I protect my abilities like, oh, like you wouldn't believe. It's like, if you can imagine a big fortress around this little person, that's what I have. I protect it. I don't compromise it. I don't use it to hurt anybody. I love it. And I don't know, actually, at the point in my life right now, I don't know what I would do if I lost my abilities. I
Ooh,
wouldn't know how to live.
yeah, that is a scary thought.
It is, yeah.
That's like
And
having a very close friend or a loved one that's
mhm,
been with you your entire life, and now
exactly.
they're no longer with you.
Yeah. It's scary sometimes because I mean, I'm not a, pure wonderful person. There's been times in my life it's like, "Oh, let's see,
Hmm.
revenge is sweet." And then I think, "Oh no, wait a minute. I might lose my abilities over that. Okay, I'll be nice. Darn it."
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
Oh, well, I can't say that I have been um wonderful all my life. I do get my knocks in.
Yeah, but to understand that there are consequences
Mhm.
beyond what you beyond the physical
Oh, yeah.
to doing negative things or to
Oh, yeah. You
wishing
have to
harm
pay
on
a
somebody.
price, and I've paid those prices, but
Wow.
my revenge was very sweet.
That's we'll get into that on another day. How about that? If you're open to sharing that one.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's
Uh,
all good.
so okay, so since we're talking about developing the gift,
Mhm,
or increasing the awareness, I
mhm,
think that would be a more appropriate way to approach this. Is
okay.
increasing the awareness.
Mhm.
Um, what are some steps or some exercises that you can suggest a person who's just interested in getting started in this? We've already talked
Oh,
about learning as much
yeah.
as you can about it, but what are some physical like things that you can tangibly do?
Oh, well, I don't know about tangibly outside of getting books, okay, doing the exercises,
And what is
um,
that? What are the exercises?
practicing yourself on things. But okay, here we go. I love sharing this piece of information. Okay. If you are willing and you want to learn about your psychic abilities, okay, what I tell people is do this when you're just about ready to go to sleep. Envision yourself at the head of a hallway, and there's all these doors, okay, down this hallway. And at each door, the room behind it is something on a metaphysical realm. Maybe like the first door you come to, it's how to read stones. Okay. And then you come to the second door and it's remote viewing. You go to the third door, it's learning tarot cards. And all of these doors just have thousands of different type of metaphysical um, capabilities, awarenesses, and knowledge than things you can learn. So I tell people, okay, go to the first door. And for an example, let's say that's where you learn how to read tarot cards. And you go in there in the room and you see different tarot card decks and you pick up, this one because it's colorful and you give it a try in your mind. You give it a try. And if it's like, oh, I just don't like this. Okay, fine. So you leave that room and you go into the second door. And let's say the second door is ghost hunting. Okay. And you walk in that door. Oh, and there's spirits all over the place and they're waving to you and they're smiling and they're happy that you're there. That is an ability, just to use that word, that's an ability that you have.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
If you
cool.
go into a room and it's like, nah, I don't like this, that's not for you. If you go into another room and it's like, yay, yippee, and the flags are waving and the angels are coming out, and that's an ability that you have. So then you pursue that. You read the books, you talk to people, you practice.
Well, and it's a good point that you made, saying that there are thousands of doors, because literally within the psychic realm, or also known as the metaphysical world,
Sure.
there are literally thousands of paths that you can take
Oh,
and
yeah.
learn different things.
Just like you say with the hypnotism, you know, there's a friend of mine. She can look at, I can't ever pronounce the word, iridology. I can't remember how to pronounce it very correctly, but she looks at your retinas and she can see that things have happened in the past and in the future. Oh yeah. So it's like, we're all
Never
doing the
even
same
heard of
thing,
that
just
one.
different. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I've heard of scrying, where you
Oh,
look
scrying.
into a
Mhm.
like a bowl of water.
Uh-huh. Or a black mirror, or even they call that crystal gazing scrying as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, maybe a future discussion we'll have is what are some of the other, maybe lesser known
Mhm.
abilities that people with
Oh yeah.
psychic abilities has.
Oh yeah. Like palmistry, reading your palms, things like that. I always tell everybody, if you're interested, pursue it. If you're interested, practice, embrace it. And don't try. This is easier said than done, because this goes back to like a psychological thing with being a human being, is don't second guess yourself. If you have a vision or if you feel something, be sure to write it down or notate it somewhere, because eventually the universe is going to show you, yeah, your feeling or your sensation or your vision, it's true. And that's a nice confirmation, because then you start to not second guess yourself. Because even after all of these millions of years that I've been on the face of the earth, I'm human. And there's been times it's like, oh, was I, is that my own thought? Or was it a true vision? I mean, I know the difference. After all the years of doing this, I know the difference, but yet still it's like, if I'm focused on doing something else and then I get a vision, it's like, okay, did I think of that? So yeah, try and let your humanity go when you're practicing and you're learning, because once that you get rid of your ego and you get rid of your id and you get rid of your humanity, then things really start coming to you fast and furious.
So we have to close this out because it's been 2 hours, and
Oh gosh, it has.
I'm
Oh,
yes, I'm very grateful for the amount of time that you spent with
oh,
me and
this
the
is
stories
fun.
that you shared.
This has been fun.
But before I let you go, I want to take a few minutes and give you an opportunity to talk about your books, your TV show, your
Okay.
radio show,
Oh, cool.
and
Okay.
what else you're working on going
All
forward.
right. Well, just briefly, my TV show is an Access TV show, but I first put him on YouTube, and it's Psychic Creations. And what I do with that, as with my radio show, which is called, well, I'll get into that in a minute. I just interview people. I love to share information, as I've said, and I love to show off people that they have interesting things that they do, musicians, authors, whatever, business owners. And so that's what my TV show is about. I have interviews with everybody. And then with my radio show, that's KNVC 95.1 FM here in Carson City. And you can hear us online. And there again, I go into the studio, or I have a studio in my home, where I again interview people with interesting things that are going on, what they do, their businesses, their talents. And so let's see. With my books, I do write about paranormal things, mostly compilations of lots of stories. But mostly what I write about is history. And a co-author is Arlene LaFerry, and she is a special works historian at the Reno Historic Society in Reno and the Sparks Museum. And her and I together, we write history on a particular building, like in Reno or Crescent City or Genoa, or all over the place. And usually, what I term that my books and our books as historic paranormal. The first part of the book is the history about a particular building, like let's say the St. Charles Hotel. And then the second part is about the spirits that our team, Thin Veil Investigators, has discovered. And I just published my 22nd book.
How can people find your books if they're interested?
You can find my books at my website, which is www.sandiespsychicstones.com. And my name, I spell it Sandie. So that's sandiespsychicstones.com. And if you are interested in connecting with me, you can get a hold of me on my website or Facebook, Sandie Lanae. Let me see. I think, where am I else? I think I'm on Instagram, Psychic Sandie. I'm just everywhere.
Yeah, we're connected on Twitter as well.
And Twitter, that's right.
You and I just connected on Twitter, which is the one I use a lot.
Yeah, but just type in Sandie Lanae. That's capital LA, capital NAE, and I'm just everywhere.
That's great. Well, thank you for participating in this Dead Hand Radio Halloween special.
Oh, it has been an honor, Andrew. Thank you so much for this fabulous opportunity. And it has been fun talking with you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I enjoyed it as well. And I hope that we have an opportunity to do this again very soon.
Okay, well, you have a good afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Sandie.
And again, thank you so much. This has been fun.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.